My name is John Bose, and I'm the Skyward Community Nigerian Curator. Joining me for tonight's presentation are speakers of the Skyward community who, together with me, will be telling you about the Unitsky String Technology opportunity, the innovative second-tier transport that is valued at over $400 billion, projected to dominate over 50% of the global transport market. And we'll be telling you how you can become a co-owner of this technology through the Skyward community. The structure of tonight's presentation will begin by addressing the first and most important thing. There are participants who are yet to mute their mic. So please, if your mic is unmuted, just kindly mute it. I also give co-host permission to some of the participants of tonight's meeting to assist me in moderating the room. So please, if you are a co-host, if you hear any of the participants or see any of the participants with their mics unmuted, please assist us by muting the participants, and so that we can have decorum. But when we get to the question and answer segment, those who wish to unmute their mic will be allowed to do so. All right. Now, the structure of tonight's presentation will be starting with us looking at the problems that this technology is set to solve and how this can benefit the project participants. We'll also talk about the legal aspect and how you can leverage the Skyward community to gain financial independence. Our first speaker for tonight is with us already. It's none other but Mr. Sunday Eloho Egudu. Mr. Sunday is a partner of the Skyward community. He's a speaker. He talks about this both offline and online. He advocates for multiple streams of income and tells people how they can leverage Skyward community in order to achieve another stream of income for themselves. So without further ado now, I will hand over the microphone to Mr. Sunday. And Mr. Sunday, please, if you are in the room, you can now unmute your mic and take the floor.
Hello, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My curator, good evening.
You're welcome.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, thank you very much. As already introduced, I'm a speaker with the Skyward community here in the Nigeria region. And I'm also an advocate of multiple streams of income. Simple reason is that if you want to build wealth, you don't build it by always working for money. You should be able to move from the level of working for money to the level where your money will not be the one working for you. So moving forward, we'll be looking at some of the challenges in the transport industry and how we can solve these problems together and profit significantly from solving this problem. The modern day transportation challenge, they are not new to almost every adult. For example, we have the challenge of this constant traffic jam during the peak hours. Many of us experience this when we take our children to schools and even when we go to work. Sometimes in the afternoon when we are coming back from work towards the evening, there's always traffic jam. It's simply telling us that the modern transport as we know it is no more really solving the transportation problem. The roads are overloaded with vehicles as well as other mobility. And of course, the fumes that comes out of these vehicles, they are hazardous to health. How about the issues of the accident that is on the increase by reason of incompetent drivers that are on the road? Looking at it from another perspective, the roads and many of this infrastructure are also very expensive to build and operate. The environmental impact of the current transport, as we know it, is very devastating. The United Nations have been able to come up with the data that about 80% of the global warming challenge we are facing is coming majorly from automobile carbon monoxide that is being emitted into the air. Many of these transport models already are dated, and by reason of that, the current transport that we have are not really solving the problem of why this transport system we are. My next slide. By reason of this, challenges that has to do with the transportation infrastructures and the current mobility in general, we have the cases of high mortality rates, in some cases, instant death due to road accidents, some cases, permanent or partial disabilities. How about the issue of stress and poor emotional state of people by reason of subjecting them through a very complicated transport route? By the time they get to work, the energy level has dropped and they cannot really function effectively in their duty post. Then we also have the challenge of the gas pollution, which I've also mentioned previously. And generally, this destroys the green areas of the earth. The truth about this whole thing is that we need a new, safe, eco-friendly, and affordable transport system. And the time has come. And of course, the problem that we have been analyzing and discussing here, engineers and inventors are already solving this problem. Let's watch this video together. It will give you an insight to why I said engineers and inventors are already solving this problem.
The number of cars in the world will double by 2050. Twice as many traffic jams, twice as much air emissions, half as many natural landscapes. No one has managed to create transport capable of solving these problems yet, until Skyway offered its project. An innovative transport which moves above ground along high-strength string rails. Steel ropes inside the rails can make the Skyway flyover up to 3 times stronger than conventional bridges. The durable flyover makes movement jerkless and safe. The construction requires almost no space on the ground. String transport supports can be erected anywhere in the world, from hot desert to permafrost. The Skyway electric motor will make the atmosphere cleaner. To provide the best quality of transport, Skyway uses the most advanced technology, 3D Experience digital platform, and American Haas equipment. It is used in aircraft and space rocket construction. The creator of the technology, the engineer, Anatoly Unitsky, has been developing the Skyway project for over 40 years. He wrote dozens of scientific papers, received 2 UN grants, and launched the production of the string transport in 2016. Since then, Skyway has been introduced at 19 international exhibitions from Berlin to Singapore. The achievements of the project are discussed by the world media from CNN to TV Tokyo. New Skyway developments are demonstrated at the Eco Techno Park Test Center every year. 5 types of tracks, 11 kinds of string transport, and thousands of passengers in one place. Today, the project is preparing to enter the world market. One of the most ambitious projects, the Skyway Innovation Center in Sharjah, is being implemented in the United Arab Emirates. Tracks, laboratories, and infrastructure of the linear city. The Skyway Center will be the starting point of the project's development in the Middle East. Today, due to crowdfunding, hundreds of thousands of people have invested in the project, and the Skyway project is more than just transport for them. It is a safe future, real achievements, and a global idea. And you can also contribute to the development of this safe and future-oriented transport. Together, we can make the world better. The number of
So the truth about the transport infrastructures and transport system that we have now is that there is need for us to have a new transport, to rethink transport such that what we are going to have as a model of transportation will not create problem, but rather will solve the ongoing problems. And of course, it's important to mention here that whatever challenges we mention, and they are not exclusive. I emphasize, they are not exclusive to a particular countries. This transport problem, they cut across all countries in the world. And it's on that note, I want to present to you Unitsky String Transport Technology. Our transport model is very efficient in the sense that we have a unique high-speed and throughput transport model. Now, let me take time to explain that word throughput to give us a little bit of understanding. It means where all the other transport models are having some drawbacks. We have looked at those challenges, those drawbacks, and develop a solution to handle those drawbacks as an improvement on the transport model we are bringing on board. For example, the rail line, as we know it, is one of the rail transport now as one of the safest transport models. But because of the derailment problem that it used to have every now and then, which, if it occurs, can create a lot of challenge in terms of losses, our vendor has been able to come up with anti-derailment mechanism in its own model of the transport we are talking about. Now, moving forward, our transport is very cost-effective and very eco-friendly. It's the safest as of today and very reliable. Now, there are facts that we have been able to verify with already some of the existing transport model. That is why we are making this claim. For you to get a better grasp of what we are talking about, maybe you will need to visit the company website where you will see each of the transport mobility and the parameters regarding each of them. Another unique advantage of UST transport is that it has a broad spectrum of application. The versatility is such that it can be implemented anywhere around the world, whatever weather condition, whatever the topography. Even in already urban area that is already having infrastructures in place, it can still fit in through careful analysis and design. As we move on, I'll be touching more on those areas. By reason of our design, our transport can move you from one point to another because we have the transport model that can be deployed to urban areas, just like we have it in Lagos, places like Abuja, Kaduna, where we have large number of persons, movement within the city, and that can run up to the speed of 150 kilometers per hour. We also have the special model, the high-speed model that can run up to 500 kilometers per hour. Of course, by reason of the speed, you should know that will be deployed to use in intercity or intercountry. We also have the cargo transport model that can transport up to 50,000 tons of cargo per day in automated mode. Our transport is designed in such a way that you don't need to wait for the entire population of persons who wants to travel through that route to move the same time, just the way we have it in most of the light rail and metro. Rather, the way we move is that a certain number of persons can join any of the U-pod that is ready to move, and that vehicle moves off. The next set of people enter the next one, it moves off. And by reason of that, within the interval of every 20 seconds, the rail line can be engaged with mobility carrying people from point A to point B. Now, if you look at the screen very well, this picture gives you a typical design of what we are talking about. To the far left-hand side, you can see what we can generally call a station. And you can see one of our U-bus model on the string line. This is how the typical design of our transport model is. And the ground level is free for other usage. By reason of the design and this model, the tracks are very reliable. They don't wobble, they don't shake. Take note that whatever we are telling you here, they are in line with standard engineering practices. As you move on, you will know better. All our vehicles, they are under automated control system, thereby eliminating human error. There are also resistance to external influences such as the danger of heat, cold, rainfall, hurricanes, earthquake, and the likes. By reason of this, our transport runs smoothly and comfortably. Nobody falls at will by reason of it's automated, and you can move from point A to point B without the challenge of complication of being wet, as we have it in something like keke or in some other mobility. In the area of eco-friendliness, our transport is the best. Remember, I mentioned it because of this presentation, that the carbon monoxide that comes from fuel foams has created the issue of global warming. And now, because it's a global problem, the world is looking for solution. If you know what is happening today, some countries are already trying to enact laws, put proper regulations in place to see how they can move from the normal internal combustion engine automobile as we know it to electric vehicle. But however, that electric vehicle does not really solve the totality of the problems we have. For example, it will not remove the challenge of accident. And of course, it's not also going to remove the challenge of the cost of building those roads. In other words, the world cannot afford to wait. And that is where our transport model comes in. If you even know the cost implication of a normal rail line, you will understand the benefit of what we are presenting here. So our transport, in terms of eco-friendliness, is superb. We don't emit harmful waste to the environment because all our vehicles, they are electric driven. It has the lowest noise in terms of noise we know in some vehicles, and also the vibration level is minimal. That does not cause discomfort to anybody. And by reason of that, because it's elevated to the second layer, it creates freedom at the ground level for whatever that should have been used for road and even rail line, as the case may be, cannot be deployed to use. After building the transport, the ground can still be deployed to use in things like park, playground, recreational environment, as well as for agricultural purposes. In terms of cost effectiveness, our transport model is the cheapest. We require less steel and concrete, as well as the asphalt issue is no more because we don't use asphalt. And by reason of that, it is very cheap to implement compared to the other rail line. In some cases, it can be as cheap as just 1/3. In some cases, as cheap as 1/5 of whatever cost it will take to implement a kilometer rail line. This is to tell you that in terms of sustainability, is also the best. Let's take a case scenario where the diesel needed to power a 30 kilometer is no more needed. By reason of that, the day-to-day consumption of the fossil fuel or the source of propelling it is not a challenge. Now, when you come down to the area of the energy consumption of our transport, that is when you really appreciate it. Let me give you an analysis. The voltage needed by a hairdryer for 1 hour was put into test for the number of kilometers it will drive our mobility, as well as it will drive a normal electric vehicle, the normal 4-leg automobile. And the report came that while the normal 4-leg mobility would go for around 11 kilometers, our own mobility will go 26 kilometers. That is talking more on energy consumption, which is also going down to the area of operational costs, which ultimately affect sustainability of that transport model. All this boils down to one fact. They will draw down the cost of fares for both the passengers that are using it and the goods that is being transported through that transportation line. Our transport is designed in such a way that it can fit easily. It's not a rigid transport kind of system as we have it in rail line. We have the passenger model, the freight model, the high-speed model. These are all available. Then we also have this fact about our transport that it can integrate into already existing transport or infrastructures. In other words, we are not saying the other ones should be totally abandoned. But however, for the world to move forward, we can still create our transport to integrate to already existing transport, then mitigate the challenges that the world is facing in the area of transportation. I've mentioned earlier on that our transport model can be built in any terrain. And by reason of that, we don't need to waste time on that. Let's move forward. Behind every work, there is a water. And the brain behind this project is no other person than a man called Dr. Anatoly Unitsky. He's an engineer of the world. He's the general designer of the Unitsky String Technology Inc. and the president of Unitsky Group of Companies. He's the author of more than 200 scientific works, 20 monographs, and more than 150 inventions to his name. And these inventions cut across the field of construction, transportation, mechanical engineering, electronics, and chemical industry. He's a member of the USS Aero Cosmonautic Federation. He's a scientist, inventor, well recognized in the scientific and global engineering communities. He's also a unique entrepreneur. It is on this note we want to speak more, narrow it down to the Unitsky String Technology Incorporated. This is actually the international engineering company that is into the research, design, development, and the general implementation of the UST transport and infrastructure complexes globally. And the team comprises of more than 600 specialists of various profiles, from engineers, designers, planners, technologists, to as well as economists. It will interest you to know that at the helm of affairs of this organization, we have more than 5 PhD holders. So what we are talking about here is not just hearsay. These are facts. People who have been able to make their mark in the field of engineering and science. They are published books related to this technology. In fact, it will interest you to know that Dr. Anatoly Unitsky actually received 2 grants to the tune of about $1 million from the United Nations to research more into the string transport technology. So when we say they are well known in the global world in terms of engineering and science work, these are realities. Of course, you can verify after now from necessary quarters, and you will be shocked by the volume of information that is concerning this inventor and his team. Currently, we have over 60 plus design bureaus in the company. We also have about 36 buildings and structure. We have over 3,000 plus units of machinery and equipment. We have our own 36-hectare land for the demonstration and certification of this technology. And we have over 10 various complexes, infrastructure complexes. The summary of that infrastructure complexes means running lines developed by this Unitsky String Technology to test and prove into reality whatever claim we are making. Now, on this slide, you will see that on the top right-hand side is one of our test centers in United Arab Emirates. What you see there is actually a bus station. Then below, what you see is a typical one of the running line, which we call the complex. Now, this running line, this is a particular one called U-Karat. That bus you can see there, the U-Karat bus can pick up to 25 passengers at a go. Then to the top left-hand corner is our test site in the in the Belarus. The one on the top left-hand side in Belarus is our Eco Techno Park, and that is the 36-hectare land. While the one on the right, United Arab Emirates, is a 28-hectare land. And they have their different complexes. The one on the left takes care of the cold weather region mobility, while the one on the right takes care of the hot weather region mobility. The product has to be tested to see how they will respond to the various climate before we can now push it back to the consumers. Now, the technology has been developed to the point where we are penetrating the international market already. And that is part of why this presentation is coming to you now. In order to enter the international transport market, it is necessary to demonstrate the final product, to show to the world how quickly and comfortably passengers can travel, how freight transport and complete logistics can be organized. We are now raising funding to implement the Unitsky String Transport Technology in order to get orders for commercial projects. My next slide. Now, this talks about the legal frame of the various companies, so that when you hear a certain name today, tomorrow you hear a certain name, you will not get confused. Understand that intellectual property cannot just be left at that realm of intellectual property if it has to be deployed to use to make money. It is on that note the inventor has to separate himself from the intellectual property and put the intellectual property under a company called GTI. Having discovered this technology, he put the ownership of the technology under the company called GTI. So GTI is the principal company that owns the group of companies, that controls all the group of companies, and is responsible for ensuring that the project structure is attractive for different type of financing. Now, you know there are what we call institutional investors. There are what we call angel investors. There is also the room of crowdfunding investors, and that is where we are coming in now. But whatever category of investors that is coming on board, GTI put in place the structure that will make it favorable to all. But however, the inventor stake has to be secured. And by reason of that, Unitsky was created, which is a company representing the interest of the project funder. And for others, like us as individuals, to come on board and profit from this intellectual property, EROSS Holding was not set up as a legal entity, which holds the Class B shares of GTI. And by reason of that, you and I that is buying into this project, we are holding the Class B share of GTI. For those who are already on board, you will see that your certificate is bearing EROSS Holding, which means Eurasian Rail Skyway System Holding. While Unitsky owns Class A shares of GTI, EROSS holds Class B shares of GTI. And by reason of that, both Dr. Unitsky, who is the founder of the project, and those who are coming through the EROSS Holding are now the owner of that intellectual property. And by reason of that, any product that is developed from this intellectual property is owned by both the project founder and the investors that come on board. And the target structure is such that it will be a favorable condition for both the co-owners and the inventor, so that we are not just going to make only profit, but we will also retain full operational and management control over the project. My next slide. Now, before the next slide come up, let's remember how some big money bag has taken over project from the original owner. I may not delve too deep into that, but if you have been following the story of the current richest man in the world, called Elon Musk, you will understand better that even the company called Tesla, that we call Elon Musk company today, he's not the original founder. But he came on board as an investor, and by reason of that, he bought over the company. And today, the other founders, you can't even hear their voice. It's only Elon Musk you can hear. And that is what we don't want. That haven't brought it into the position of reality in the world implementation, then we should not be pushed aside. Rather, our voice should also be heard in this project. And by reason of the structure I have just mentioned earlier to you in the previous slide, the companies, the people that set up these various companies also understood very well that tax burden can actually make those who set up this organization not to really profit significantly from it. Therefore, in order to avoid that challenge, Unitsky set up its own company in Seychelles, while EROSS Holding and GTI were set up, we are legally registered there. And by reason of that, except for the annual stamp duty, which does not exceed $3,000 US, we don't have any challenge that has to do with taxation. Now, for you who is investing or who is coming about to buy the portion of EROSS Holding, what you will be taxed on is that portion that comes to you as your own dividend. And of course, in Nigeria, where we are, that tax in most cases is just 10% of whatever you earn from that investment. By reason of all what we are saying here, we are telling you now that the dividend received by co-owners of the innovative transport from ERSS Holding will only be taxed at the personal level. But however, the money from the ERSS Holding is receiving from GTI will not be taxed. That is our interest why the company was set up in British Virgin Islands. My next slide. It's on this note I want to appreciate everyone for taking time to be with us till now. And at this point, I will hand over the microphone to our curator who will take it from me. Thank you for having me.
All right, let's hear it for our last speaker, Mr. Sunday Gudu. Let us give him our reactions in the chat room. He has just told us about the problems that the Unitsky String Technology Transport is solving. He has told us about the solution of the Unitsky String Technology. He has delved into the technology and told us about some of its features. And he has also told us about how to support the project by becoming a project participant, a project supporter. And he also told us about the tax implication for project supporters and how the place where this company is registered, that is told us about the structure of the company and the registration, sharing with us that capital gains tax is not applicable to the places where Unitsky and ERSS holdings have been registered. So what you will just be dealing with is the personal income tax in your own country if you decide to become a project participant and a project supporter. All right, so please give your likes, give your reactions to the last speaker as I invite our next speaker who will be telling us more about the community. Our next speaker is Ms. Maria Bose, who is an entrepreneur, a public speaker, a skill acquisition instructor, a leader in the Skyward community, and she holds 2 degrees in mass communication and French translation. She also holds a master's degree. So I'll be calling her on board to talk to us about the Skyward community and how you can become a member of the Skyward community ecosystem. So Ms. Maria, if you are here, kindly unmute your mic and take the floor.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, my curator. Can everyone hear me, please?
Loud and clear.
Okay, thank you very much. Standing on existing protocol, my name is Ms. Maria Bose. I am also an enthusiast for multiple streams of income. So today I will be presenting to you a platform through which you can have access to the projects that my previous speaker has extensively discussed with you about. I know you already have probing questions like, how do you take part in this project? How do you participate? What do you need to do? I believe those are the probing questions already on your minds right now. If I'm correct, please just put agree on the chat box to indicate that I am on the right track. I'm actually saying your mind. If actually these are the probing questions actually wandering through your minds right now as to how to participate in this project that the previous speaker has just presented to you. Okay, so as human beings, we are social beings and we cannot live in isolation. And because of this, we tend to participate in groups. We also known as communities. And what communities help us with is that it gives us a sense of purpose and the feeling that we are part of a purposeful cause. Also, a community also helps with, depending on the community you are a part of, all right, also helps with personal growth and mental well-being. And community also helps with shared knowledge and learning. And one of such communities that does that is what I will be talking to you about. Also a platform through which you can have access to the project that has been earlier mentioned by the previous speaker. That community is known as Skyward Community. Skyward Community is the official partner of Unitsky String Transport Technologies Incorporated, the technology that was just presented by the previous speaker. Skyward Community is a large international social venture ecosystem that specializes in financing green tech technologies. So please take note, Skyward Community, it specializes in financing green tech technology. And this ecosystem provides you and I a unique opportunity to become a part of a global project by registering portions of Unitsky String Transport Technology. The next slide shows you the link, shows you the owner of Skyward Community, and that is Skyward Incorporated. Skyward Incorporated is the owner of the international social venture ecosystem, which is Skyward Community. And now I know the current question will be, what is the link? What is it doing with Skyward Community? How is it linked? What are the benefits of SWI to Skyward Community? All right, this slide is going to be talking extensively about that. So SWI, in most of the contracts, acts as a guarantor between the global transport investment and a co-owner of the next generation transport infrastructure. Also, Skyward Incorporated handles inquiries and answers questions from co-owners. Skyward Incorporated also provides technical and informational support. On our next slide, Skyward Community, our community has evolved over the years. It has gone through stages and has been refined, and that is known as our company rebranding. So over the years, our company was known as Skyway, and now our company is currently known as Unitsky String Transport Technology. I know you will be wondering or asking yourself, why the rebranding? So a company rebrands to attract new customers, and also the rebranding of a company increases its market competitiveness and helps such a company with improved positioning in the market. Also, rebranding of a company gives a clearer representation of the company's values and objectives, and also presents the company's image that resonates with a larger audience. So you see the need for rebranding, and that's our company has done over the years. In 2019, our brand name changed, and this was mainly due to the entering of the String Transport Developing Company into a new stage of development. That is, it was going into the global market. So we rebranded. In 2021, the company's transition from the startup stage to the business stage actually took place, because it was then that the compliance with the requirements of the international safety standard of Unitsky String Transport Technology, this was the time it was confirmed by certification in the United Arab Emirates. The next slide answers questions that will also currently be on your minds right now as to, how do I participate? How do I get portions from this company? It is very easy to register portions of our company, the Unitsky String Transport Technology. First off, you need to register and verify your personal account on the website, or go to whoever has brought you so that you get yourself registered. Also, after doing that, by the way, to register an account is free. After doing that, you select the package of the portions that you are interested in, and you deposit your fund in a convenient way. Convenient way in the sense that you can pay one off, or you can pay instrumentally based on your financial capacity. Then you are also going to sign a convertible loan agreement, and you will receive an extract from the register confirming your ownership of the portions that you registered. On the next slide, at the right-hand side, you can see a document that is the convertible loan agreement. This agreement is what you sign to register ownership of portions. But if you don't sign it, it then assumes that you are giving a loan to the company to help with the project. After 3 years, you will be refunded, and refunded with profits. But it's actually advisable that you get portions from the company. You get portions so that over the years, you will enjoy the benefits from the portions that you registered. So that is why it is better to sign the convertible loan agreement. Now, next thing that we want to talk about is what will happen if peradventure the implementation of this project does not come out as it ought to. I know something maybe that worry may come up, like what may happen if sometimes one can start a business, you have such beautiful thoughts and ideas, such beautiful goals, and peradventure something happens. What is our fate as those who are coming in as co-owners of this company, of this company? So if that should happen, but we don't see that happening with everything that has been put in place. You heard the presentation from my previous speaker, and you heard how far we have gone and what strategies that we put in place to ensure that it's successful. So we don't see that happening, but we have covered every area, every niche that could come up as a loophole. Peradventure it does happen. So we are saying that you as a co-owner will have a co-ownership of an intellectual property, and the intellectual property of the string transport project that you are going to be having a co-ownership of has already been valued by independent financial experts at more than $400 billion. And this has been transferred to GTI. So you see that there is no how that this might happen. That's what you are still getting from the assurance that you are getting here. Also, the co-owners of these innovative transports own portions of the holdings, which in turn own GTI. Accordingly, all co-owners indirectly own the string transport technology and all string transport related companies that GTI owns. Now, the next slide is going to be going deeper into what you will stand to gain or what you shall gain as a co-owner of our transport company. You stand to provide yourself with passive income for years to come, which is known as dividends. This dividends distribution is possible in proportion to the portions you registered. So depending on the portions you registered, depending on the amount you registered, this is how dividends will be allocated. Also, you have the rights of the ERSS holding. A minimum of 20% of the net profits will be distributed to pay dividends to all those who have GTI Class B shares. And the holdings will in turn distribute them to specific investors in proportion to their portions. So we are the owners of GTI Class B shares as a co-owner of Unitsky String Transport Technology. And so this is binding on you that you are going to be getting a minimum of 20% of the net profits, which will be distributed to pay dividends to all those who own the Class B shares, which is you and I, and all others who are coming in to own these Class B shares. Also, you can see something to note here is that it will be given in proportion to your portions. So here I would advise that you should get as many portions as possible, because it is based on your portions, the amount of, or the number of portions you have, that it will be shared, that you will get the dividends will be given according to the number of portions that you have. So it's best to have as much portions as possible. You can buy instrumentally, you can even finish after purchasing one of, you can go again, depending on your financial capacity. Now, the next slide tells you and I that the payment of dividends depends on the receipt of the annual net profit of GTI Incorporated. Now, even if the company does not go public, the right of a co-owner of an innovative transport system to receive dividends remains. Also, dividends declared will be distributed. You see, there is emphasis again, will be distributed in proportion to the portions of co-owners. That's a message. So if you still have financial capacity to get more, please do get more of the portions. Now, the next slide is telling you of how far we have gone and how benevolent our company has been as it pertains to buybacks. Over the years, we have had the given unique opportunity to co-owners to make money by reselling portions of the companies, by reselling portions of the company. Now, on 2 occasions, over 5,000 of our first innovative transport co-owners had the opportunity to participate in a buyback and sell their portions for many times their original value. There will still be another buyback that will come very soon, and this is even going to be more attractive. Yes, there's going to be another buyback. Now, this should ring a bell to you. A company that doesn't have value would not do a buyback of their portions, because it's assumed that a valueless company, after selling whatever they want to sell, you are coming to say you want to resell it back to them. They have already been able to discard whatever portions or whatever they say they are selling to the public. They don't want it back. But in this case, you would see the value of our company. It has done this buyback of portions that it had sold to co-owners. Twice, it has done a buyback of it, and it did it and also added profit to those who resold their portions. And it is saying again that it will do a 3rd time, and this time it's even going to be bigger than the previous. So that should tell you that this company is worth holding tight, holding firm, and not letting go, because this is the project of the future. So my advice to you would be that when such a time comes, it is advisable to hold tight what you already have, because you have gold in your possession. Do not sell it off. But that is my advice. You can do whatever you feel is what you think is best for you. All right. So now our next slide shows you and I that the portions which you will even receive dividends from does not die with you. There is room for inheritance. So you are not just doing this for only yourself, you are even doing it for your future, your generations to come after you. You see what that means? You are setting a life for not just yourself, but you are setting a life for even those that are coming after you and will be born from you. What company would do that if not Unitsky String Transport Technology? So we create a financial rainy fund for future generations. You remember we talked about the agreement you sign. That agreement is not just for the purpose of putting the documents. It's not for the purpose of writing your name and just, okay, I've done it, and you think there is nothing to it. That is registered. There is a register that is in our company that puts all of your details. They are all registered. They are all put in that register. And your next of kin, you also put on that document. It's not a child's play. That next of kin will be used for our venture, because we are not going to stay on this life, on this earth forever. Someday we will leave. So, but when you leave, you have that peace within you that whatever you have can be transferable to your next of kin. Your children, your generation will not suffer. So that is what our company gives to you as an assurance. Now, all information stored in the personal accounts, as well as the Unitsky String Technology owner register, co-owner register, we verify the identity of the heir, and we obtain documents confirming the right to inherit. Now, the next slide is, we have told you about all the benefits that you will enjoy from our projects. But all these privileges and benefits will only be enjoyable. You will only have the chance to participate in all of these that have been described if only, and I repeat, if only you secure yourself by participating in the projects. So it's not just to listen and go and sleep on it, but it is only when you participate that you will have access to all of the benefits that have been itemized. And currently in our project, we are in the last stage, and that is stage 15. 15 divided, it was the 15th stage was divided into two, 15.1 and 15.2. Currently, we are in the 15.2 stage, which means we are rapidly rounding up. So that tells you that you should quickly do your due diligence. By that, I mean, carry out your research and quickly get back to whoever brought you here so that you can key into this wonderful project before it elapses. Now, we have a video which we all watch. This video is going to tell you about our journey so far. how far we have gone, our stages, the challenges we have encountered, what brought about us coming to where we are right now, and what purpose we stand for. So please watch this video and we will be right back.
The social venture ecosystem Sky World Community has been a strategic partner of Unitsky String Technologies Inc. since 2015. We have been successful in attracting investment in string transport technology for 8 years. We have ensured robust funding for the project and, like many of its co-owners and our community partners, we are waiting when the final 15th stage to be closed. While taking proactive steps, over the 8 years of our platform's existence, we have built a powerful mechanism capable of raising the necessary amount of funding to close stage 15 in just 1 year. More than 650,000 people have registered in the Sky World community, of which more than 200,000 have not only become investors, but also signed a partnership agreement. And if right now each of the current investors and partners will make their minimum contribution of $500, then in just a few months, or maybe even weeks, we will confidently announce the closed opportunity to become a co-owner of UST Technology on favorable terms. The $100 per month installment plan will allow you to fully complete the 15 stages of financing in 5 months. And if we want to close the final stage as soon as possible, there is nothing easier. Go to your personal accounts and support the project with an investment without delay. Please note, if every existing investor or partner tells their friends, relatives, or colleagues about the opportunity to become a co-owner of a breakthrough transport technology, the speed of attracting financing will ramp up dramatically. If everyone right now invites at least one investor with a minimum deposit of $500, then tomorrow, we will collect all the necessary amount. The portions of the holding will be distributed among investors and the company will complete certification, construction, and demonstration in the shortest possible time, thus bringing closer commercialization of targeted projects, growth in asset value, and the possibility of paying dividends. Tell people that String Technology is no longer a venture startup, but an independent, small-scale, scalable production facility, increasing its capacity year after year. Tell them that following the results of the audit for 2022, the company has reached self-sufficiency and is currently able to cover its current costs on its own, which means it will soon be profitable and able to pay a minimum dividend of 20% of its net income, and you don't have to wait for a public stock exchange to do that. Often we hear the same questions. When will the 15th stage close? How long will it last? The answer is simple. It's up to you, dear investors and partners. Call, write, tell your community about the opportunity to become a co-owner of a unique transport technology with the prospect of covering up to 50% of the transport market. This is your unique chance to bring as close as possible what everyone is waiting for, with minimal effort.
All right, is everyone still with me? Please, if you are still with me, just put a yes on the chat box. Is everyone still with me? If you are still with me, just put a yes on the chat box. So from that video, you would have seen how far we have grown over 8 years and what's the stages that we have crossed to get to where we are right now. Like I said before, all these benefits, all these opportunities that have been itemized in our company and the platform through which you will get access to the portions. You will only have access to all of these if and only if you participate. So please do your due diligence as quickly as possible, because right now we are in the final stage 15.2, and we are currently almost rounding up, so that you too will be a part of a wonderful project. Thank you very much, and I appreciate you all for staying with me. God bless you all. I will now hand over the mic to my curator to continue.
Thank you very much, Ms. Maria, for that beautiful presentation. Please, can we have the reactions for our last speaker in the chat room? Kindly react with your emojis, with your comments. Just appreciate that speaker for a job well done, taking us through the slides of the Skywatch community. Now, I'll be inviting our last speaker for tonight. I see that we have some questions that have been written in the chat room during the course of the last presentation. I also want to say that we'll be having the question and answer session at the end of this meeting. So if you have any questions, I see that we're already answering some of the questions in the chat room. However, if you have any questions yet to be answered, you can ask them during the question and answer segment, which will come up at the end of tonight's presentation. I'd now like to welcome our last speaker for tonight, who is no other than Ambassador Elvis Smart. Ambassador Elvis is a partner of the Skywatch community. I don't know if he has already, okay, yes, he's with us. Let me just grant you full permissions. Okay, so Ambassador Elvis is a partner of the Skywatch community. He's been in business for years. He's a successful and a dynamic entrepreneur. He's also a business mentor and a life coach. He's a public speaker. He's the CEO of Igule Global Resources Nigeria Limited. He's a master with the Skywatch community. He's well-traveled and well-read. Has done bachelor's degree in Rakmanheng University in Thailand. Currently, he's also doing a postgraduate diploma in business management in Centennial College, Toronto, Canada. So, Ambassador Elvis, kindly unmute your mic and take the floor. You'll be taking us through the last part of tonight's presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my able curator. And I sincerely want to thank the two speakers that already spoke. You did marvelously well to that very slide. Again, I welcome every one of us present here tonight. I will be taking us through the affiliate program of this unique opportunity. Not only you investing or waiting for when your dividend will be paid, there are still ways you can make money from this unique opportunity we have. So I'm talking about raising fund and earn together with the company. Skyward Affiliate Program is a financial instrument that allows partners like you and I to receive interest from the finance raised for green projects and startups, just like the startup we are now. The management of Skyward SWC carefully selects projects for funding and allow her community, you and I, to benefit financially in real cash terms. What that means is that when anyone invests into this project through you, immediately you have a cash return, which you can withdraw immediately. Now, one will be asking, how can I become a partner of this very great opportunity? Let me first let you know that for the past 10 years, this is what our partners have been getting, including the curator. So I want to give you a breakdown of the things you will stand to benefit. You will benefit up to 18% of the amount of financing raised. Secondly, one-time accrue of up to $2,000 for earning a status. The third thing you can benefit again is monthly bonuses raised on investment volume. The fourth thing you can benefit again is promotions, drawing, traveling, and the company of leaders. So you will benefit all these things I've just mentioned even before the dividend or before they go into the stock market. So looking at the third slide talks about how you can be trained. You see what we are doing today. We didn't just start doing it. We were trained. So this training will help you to align and bring you to speed on how to achieve all that has been mentioned, all the speakers, all they've spoken. This training will bring you to speed. Again, we have built a platform specifically for your rapid growth through the Skyward business model. So on our platform, that is your back office. When you register, you'll be given the opportunity to access your back office. There in your back office, you will have access to reliable and verifiable information that can help you broadcast to a wide audience without fear of getting it wrong. We have materials that you can depend on. Again, our partners are systematically trained from basic to leadership positions. We have segments for that. You will also have a step-by-step learning of our advertising materials, which makes it easy for you to grasp, which brings you also to a natural result. You get a natural result when you start doing this. Okay, the above statements approach, as stated, we enable you to make from the rank of a partner to sky rank. When you imbibe all that have been said, this will catapult you to this rank of a sky expert, thereby sharpening your skills and filling current knowledge gap, which you do not know now. When you register, you will see these informations behind your slides. So the simple steps, we have 3 simple steps that you can become a registered member. 1, here are the 3 simple steps to become a member. 1, register today for free using the link of the person who invited you here. So as we're speaking, just inbox the person who invited you. Please, can you send me your link? And when that is done, just register. Then this person who invited you will guide you on how to do your verification. Immediately you verified your account, then the company will show you another portal where you will sign the partnership agreement, just like Ms. Maria said. Upon completing these 3 steps above, you are now a representative of our company, and you can raise funding for our project and receive your financial reward as stated earlier. It's just so easy and so simple. So like I've just said, because people want to take advantage of this again, the company doesn't only want you to register people and make the money. Just like an Agberu in Lagos will load a vehicle going from Lagos to Abuja without being part of that journey. The company also wants you to benefit from this very company. That is why they've also given you opportunity to buy the shares yourself or buy the portion of the company yourself, and you stand to receive dividend for life. This is life dividend, and upon that, you earn money from selling technological portions. So that is the second way you will earn as a holder of the shares. And the third one is that you generate an asset for conveyance by inheritance. Just like the previous speakers, they've said, you now have the right to transfer your shares to your lineage or your generations to come. Looking at the next slide again, which is the last one here, you see to become a Skyward partner again, you have the right now with the referral program, just like I've mentioned. You learn in demand skills and professions. You become part of the global community and find like-minded people, just like what you see in the group here. Again, you can participate in pro-environmental projects. You get the opportunity to get into unique Skyway Premium Club. So we have stages where you can move by rank and you become a solidified member of those clubs. Then when we look at this very slide again, the next slide, all we've said, the first speaker, the second speaker, and myself, now allow me to say that the choice is now yours to make, which can be the blessing of your financial independence and a proud and safe, comfortable way to travel with a Unitsky String Technology vehicle. So the choice is now yours to make, and I wish you will just make the choice today and start benefiting and enjoying what we are doing. So in all we've said, I want to let you know lastly that UST technology is the key to sustainable development of the future transport infrastructure. And upon that, Skyward community is your opportunity to support innovative technologies and gain financial independence. Beloved, all I have said, I believe you will be thinking now. In fact, if you check my status today, I just posted somebody who invested $1.6 million, not Naira. He invested $1.6 million. So certainly you must believe that there is something this man knows that made him part away with such a huge amount of money. We may not be rich as the very investor is, but you can start little, and I wish you will start today. Thank you very much as I hand back to my curator, and God bless you.
Thank you very much for joining us and for sharing your insights into tonight's discussion. Please let us have the reactions for the last speaker. And thank you so much once again, Ambassador Elvis Smart. Ladies and gentlemen, like all the speakers before me have said, there is opportunity here for you to become the co-owner of a multinational transport company valued at $400 billion by independent experts market valuation, with the projection to dominate over 60% of the global transport market. So make your choice, which can become the start of a life-changing, life-uplifting, and financially rewarding future for you. A number of persons recently celebrated the entry of a certain coin, I'm not going to mention the name, into the open mainnet. And many people became millionaires as a result of their investment of time in the project development. This is the same thing. We're inviting you to participate in the development of a project that can financially transform your life. So for those who have the wisdom and the vision to see what we are talking about, they will get themselves on board. And for those who are still a bit of having some skepticism, some doubt, you are welcome to ask your questions, and you're also welcome to do your own research, which is very important before you make any decision. Now, recently, the company GTI, in their website, published an article called Dividend Declaration 2024. And in that article, they touched on 9 key areas where they shared their commitment to investors, the sources of profits for the GTI company, their plans for future reorganization, their plans for initial dividend payments, and the profitability threshold for which those dividends will be paid. They also mentioned the criteria of profitability. They talked about the IPO and the post-IPO dividend policy. They also talked about the IPO strategy and various options about IPO. I noticed somebody asked a question concerning dividends in the chat room. I've dropped the link to that very article for you to read it up, because we are going to go into it. We are going to spend a little bit more time, and we are already 1 hour and 23 minutes into tonight's presentation. If we have time, we can come back to this, but for now, I've sent the link for you to just go there and take your time to read through that article. Now, I'll be sharing with you some of the recent updates from your back office, our back office. For those of you who do not visit your back office often, we do this recent update session to bring you up to speed about what is happening with the development of the company that you are supporting. Now, recently, UST shared their 10-year journey from the first anchor support to the first addressable project. That is how this company has been developing over the last 10 years. Now, 10 years ago, everything you are looking at today, we talked about our test center in Belarus, our test center in the United Arab Emirates, and some of the commercial projects we already have in the bag. Everything started with an idea in the mind of the founder. Now, this idea is not just about creating a new type of transportation. It's about forming an entire industry. Because if you look at our transport system, we are not just developing vehicles that run on the road. We are developing a completely new innovative technology for transportation, which is string transport technology. Let me put it this way. We are building both the roads, the vehicles we run on, and the vehicles that we run on those roads. These are not conventional vehicles. These are U-Pods, and these are our innovative U-Pods, U-Flash, and various models of our, what we can call various models of our, the name is not coming to me right now. However, the vehicles that we create that are mounted on the rail, and then the ones that are hanging, because we have a rail structure and we have vehicles mounted above the rail and vehicles hanging on the rail. Now, these vehicles are of various models with various capacity and various speed. So we have models that can reach speeds of 600 kilometers per hour, and those that can reach speeds of 150 kilometers per hour. We have models for within the city. We have models for outside the city. We have models for passenger transportation. We have models for cargo transportation. So this is a large spectrum of products, a large range of products. And even the tracks that we build, we have the rigid track, the flexible track, and the semi-rigid track. So we have various tracks, various vehicles, and so far we have developed an entire industry for transportation. Today, our project is considered an international engineering company which has been granted the status of a scientific organization. And our engineering center is located in Minsk, in Belarus. We have our own production and research facility, over 60 bureaus where we design various models of our technology in-house. We also have in-house production facility, and this facility occupies 20,000 square meters. In this facility, we develop key components of our production without outsourcing. So it's important to note that everything is done in-house. We have also created 2 demonstration sites where we do not just produce, we go ahead to showcase what we have produced in our demonstration facility. We talked about the demonstration facility we have in Belarus covering 36 hectares of land, and the one we have in the United Arab Emirates covering 28 hectares of land. And in these 2 facilities, we have shown how effective our technology carries out on the hot weather region and the cold weather region. Today, as I speak to you, we have achieved the certification of many of the components of our technology, and we have now entered into the phase of commercial implementation of projects. We even have a first commercial project already commissioned, and we are scaling further. So that's to tell you that we are no longer talking about a small company. And in our next slide, I'm going to tell you something that I think should motivate you to participate in this project if you have not already done so, and also excite those who have already participated. Now, you see, our technology has been internationally recognized. Representatives from the United Arab Emirates, from Belarus, from Russia, India, China, the United States of America, as well as Indonesia, have come to identify with and even request for this technology to be implemented in their regions. And we are working on the implementation of these targeted projects. So to tell you that in 10 years, this company has achieved a lot. And just to contextualize it, I want to tell you, compared to other companies that have attempted over the years to develop new transport technologies, I want to show you how our technology compares to theirs. Now, we have shown the applicability and the successful development of our transportation system over 10 years. However, there are companies that came with the idea to form innovative transport, and they did not do so well. Let's talk about some of them. Now, we have a company called Urban Aeronautics, and their idea was to build vehicles that can fly above the land, that can personal propelled area vehicles that can take you above the traffic and you just fly to your destination and then you safely land. Now, this company was founded in 2001. And it will interest you to know that they only got to prototype testing stage. That is to say, they designed a prototype and they tested a prototype, and was the stage that they were able to get to in the development of their project. Now, the cost of the development and the manufacturing and the operation cost of their personal propelled vehicle, their personal aircraft, was so high. As a result of that, they could not develop further. Also, there were questions about the safety of the passenger and the disposal of the electrical components and batteries that can even harm the environment. So that was one of the things that hindered the adoption of the air capsules that urban aeronautics were developing. And their effectiveness and potential use case was not enough to justify the harm that it will cause the environment and the high cost of that technology's development. So it had to be discarded. After 23 years of existence, that project was left aside. That is one company that attempted to revolutionize the transport sector and failed. With 23 years of existence, they did not hit any groundbreaking breakthrough. They only got to prototype testing. Now, another company tried in the United States of America. We have, if you know this man called Richard Branson, the owner of Virgin Airlines, you will know Virgin Airlines and you will know Virgin Hyperloop One, or you probably know it as Hyperloop One before it became Virgin Hyperloop, because Richard Branson invested heavily as a major stakeholder in that company. Now, this Virgin Hyperloop came into being in 2014, and their vision was very simple. They wanted to develop passenger capsules that will run at speeds of 100 kilometers per hour using the Hyperloop technology. Now, they went into the development and the funding was there. I mean, they had a major investor, they had the finance, but do you know that after 9 years and over $400 million in investment, they had to shut down due to multiple challenges? It will even interest you to know that they did not achieve that 100 kilometers per hour speed. In their prototype testing, they were not able to achieve that speed. They only achieved around half of that speed. And again, there were concerns about passenger safety. They now said, okay, they want to use it only for the transportation of cargo, but even at that, it was still unsuccessful. After 9 years and $400 million in investment, that project did not see the light of day. Another project came up, Skytrans. This idea came up and attracted $79.5 million in investments at their initial stage. This was in 2023. And the startup lasted for 14 years. But what happened? They closed down. And why did they close down? Lack of funding. After they had already seen $79.5 million in investments, they could not continue because the fundings were cut off. And there were also concerns about safety, as well as concerns about concerns about regulatory barriers. So in the development of a new innovative transport technology, there is always regulatory barriers. You cannot just start implementing a technology for transportation. It's not possible. Let me even tell you that the cars you drive, for those who live outside the country, for example, there are emission standards for vehicles. You cannot produce a car that is above the emission standard in a particular country and sell. If it is above the standard, you cannot sell. For example, you are producing maybe a BMW and the BMW has a lot of carbon emission that exceeds the regulatory standards of maybe the place where you want to sell it. Maybe you had a plan to market it in a place like Canada or United States of America. If it exceeds their emission standard for that vehicle, you can't sell them. That's why you see some people shipping all these vehicles down to Africa where all these laws are not very effective. There are regulations. You cannot just put a vehicle on the road. When they talk about what's it called now? This thing they call roadworthiness. How roadworthy is this vehicle? These are the things they check, the emission standard and many other things before they say, okay, this vehicle can be allowed to be sold and marketed in this particular region. So gentlemen and ladies, you cannot just introduce a transport technology whereas the regulatory standard do not accept that particular technology as safe. So that's the reason why some of these companies that came before have failed. But look at UST, in 10 years, look at what we have done. Some other companies in 9 years folded, some 23 years folded, some with massive funding folded. And here we are, still strong. We have gotten regulatory certification for many of the models of our technology. We have gotten commercial projects and we have even implemented. See, if you know what you own in the UST project, I think you should put a round of applause in the chat room. Now, for those of you who understand the value of what you own, I'm talking about those who invested in what they understood and those who participated in a project with proper understanding. I'm not talking about those people who just opened their back office. The last time they checked it was 2016 when they made an investment and then they switched off. And the only time they come to comment on the group is when will the company begin to pay. No, no, no. If you are someone who understood the value of what you supported, the project you participated in, then let me see your plus in the chat room. Now, moving on, let me talk about the UTerra Middle East agro industry. Now, many of you understand that the Skyward Community Social Venture ecosystem does not support only one project. They support multiple projects as long as those projects are eco-friendly. Those projects are green tech technologies. So one of the other projects they support is the UTerra Middle East agro industry. The funding of this project has already closed. Those who have supported this project and gotten some lots and some stake in this company, they are already the ones who we are no longer investing or we are no longer supporting this project. So gentlemen, the UTerra Middle East agro industry recently participated in one of the major agricultural exhibitions in Sharjah in the United Arab Emirates. This took place and lasted for 4 days. That's from the 22nd to the 25th of January. And it took place in Al Daid Agricultural Exhibition. So we unveiled our UTerra Soil Elixir. The UTerra Soil Elixir, which was produced in-house, that organic soil fertilizer that is revolutionizing the agricultural sector. So AE Unitsky attended this event and he pointed the efficacy of our product, the UTerra Fertility Elixir, based on scientific research, shown to increase crop yield by up to 50% and enrich the soil with the useful microorganisms for both plants and animals. Now, we entered into preliminary arrangements and agreements with a major key player in the food tech, agri-tech of the United Arab Emirates, one of the leading giants there. That is the company called SILA, S-I-L-A-L. We entered preliminary arrangements with that, preliminary discussion with that company during this particular event. You know, this kind of events, they provide you opportunity for networking. So this was one of the potential partners that the UTerra Middle East agro industries entered into preliminary discussions with. So it's worth noting that we analyzed the market for similar products presented at the exhibition, and we discovered that at the moment, we do not even have any direct competitors in the market when you look at it in terms of the quality of our product and the price. So if you have put some stake in the UTerra Middle East agro project, I'm sure that this news will excite you, because not only have we participated in this exhibition, we have been invited to similar exhibitions to be held in the future. Now, I want to inform us that I just talked about a UTerra project which we can no longer support. Those who are hearing about the UST project and hearing about the Skyward community, you just heard now that the UTerra project has been closed. So the same way you will hear in the future that the UST project has been closed and you can no longer support it, but At the moment, you can still support and take a stake, a co-ownership stake in this company's development. And there is a promotion going on that can even give you more discounts for your participation. Now, this is the TET 2025 promotion, which is originally meant for the Vietnamese partners. However, the Vietnamese partners can offer you from the available gift tickets that they have, because everyone who has access to this promotion also has the tickets that they can give out to give other people access. So if you wish to participate, you can apply for a ticket, and if they give you, you will be able to take advantage of this promotion. Now, the promotion has been extended to the 28th of February, and the criteria for those who have access to this are Vietnamese partners with the eligibility and those who they give access to through the sharing of the gift tickets. The available packages in this promotion are the free Heron package, which gives you 20,000 portions for a $250 payment, which can be spread over a period of $50 installments for 5 months. We have the Lush Kumquat package, which gives you 40,000 portions for a $500 payment, which can also be spread for 5 months in $100 monthly installments. Both of these packages carry 80 portions per dollar as a discount. We equally have the Wise Snake package, which gives 80,000 portions for $1,000, which can be spread over 5 months in $200 monthly installments, also carrying 80 portions per dollar as a discount. So you have the intention to invest, your range of investment is 500, 1,000 or 250. Take advantage of this promotion. We equally have a package here called the Red Dragon package under this promotion, which gives 425,000 portions for $5,000, which can also be paid in $1,000 monthly installments. This one carries 85 portions per dollar as a discount. Now, we equally have offers exclusive to those who have the Sky Prime status. And these are premium discount packages from $20,000 to $100,000 with increased discounts, where you can receive an extra 10% discount on any of those premium packages. However, the coupons of 2 times and 1.5 times do not apply for packages under this promotion. So that brings us to the end of the presentation, and I'm now going to share with you the link to fill out the regional event feedback form to give you access to the SWC mobile package promo coupon. Now, at this junction, I will respond to the question that was asked by participants in the chat room during the course of the presentation. Someone asked a question. Let me just go through the chat again. I responded, but I want to pick out that question and publicly answer the question. The person says, what is the difference between ERSS Holdings and GTI? And in terms of profit taxing. So this question is a bit the question is, let me unpack it because it's a lot of information in one question, or a lot of questions wrapped in one. The first is, what is ERSSH Holdings and how is that different from GTI? And then what is the profit taxing for these two companies? Now, GTI is, or let's begin with ERSSH Holdings. ERSSH Holdings means Eurasian Rail Skyway System Holdings. Now, if you look at this slide where the speaker who spoke talked about, I think that was slide 40. Let me just go back to that slide. Okay, so if you look at this slide, At the bottom here, it says your certificate reflects data from the statement from ERSS Holdings Registry. So your certificate, when you support this project and you get your portions, the portions are registered in ERSS Holdings, you will get a certificate, having signed a convertible loan agreement. That certificate is from ERSS Holdings Registry. So what does it mean? It means that ERSS Holdings is the company responsible for the investments that you make in supporting this project. And this company is a private company registered in the British Virgin Islands. So it acts as an asset management company within the UST ecosystem. Now, their primary role is to hold and to manage assets, including the portions of co-owners. Their own is to hold the portions you have as a co-owner. They explained this during the presentation when they were talking about the company's structures. Let me just go a little bit back to that slide. The first speaker talked about the different, let me go back a little bit. Yes, the different companies under the UST group of companies. And ERSS Holdings, like you can see here, is the holder of Class B shares of GTI, a holding company for financing the project and protecting co-owners of innovative transport technology. So this ERSS Holdings is a private company within this ecosystem responsible for asset management. Their role is to hold and manage the GTI Class B shares, the shares of co-owners of these projects. That is that's the reason why your certificate is reflecting the data from their ERSSH Holdings registry. Now, ERSSH Holdings is not involved in the development and the operation of the UST vehicles. They do not develop and operate this string technology. Their own is they are a holding company. Please, if you understand or it's clear to you, put a plus in the chat so that I move on to the next one. If what I've just said about ERSSH Holdings is clear, put plus. If you still don't understand it, put minus so that let me know if we are all together. Okay, thank you for your feedback. Now, the second is GTI. Now, GTI stands for Global Transport Investment. They are the parent company in the UST group of companies. And what is their responsibility? Their responsibility is to develop and to commercialize the UST solutions. So basically, they are the central company that owns the intellectual property and the technology and the commercial rights of UST. They are responsible for building, for financing, and for implementing commercial projects. Does that make sense? Do you see the division of responsibility between GTI and ERSSH Holdings? So GTI is involved in the development of these UST solutions, commercial implementation, development of the products of UST. Now, these two companies, when you talk about the tax implication, when you talk about where or how they are taxed, is going to be based on the jurisdiction where these companies were registered. These companies are registered in a particular location, and the place where they are registered will determine the tax implication based on the local laws of the location and the jurisdiction where the company is registered. Now, GTI and ERSSH Holdings, in understanding this tax implication that if you register your company in a place where the taxation laws are very strict and the company is subject to corporate income tax, capital gains tax, and dividend tax on the profits that they make, it may not impact the amount of profit that actually comes to the co-owner of the project. That's why they now registered in a place like Seychelles and British Virgin Islands, where the tax laws are very friendly, where it allows for companies to come in and to do business because they have such friendly laws on especially tax. Because the only thing you need to pay in those countries is the annual stamp duty, which is not more than $3,000. So in Seychelles and British Virgin Islands, where we have the registrations of this company, those serious taxation laws do not apply. So as a co-owner of this, when you receive your dividends, it's not going to be taxed from source. It will only be taxed according to your own local laws. For example, personal income tax will apply to your income. So if you are making money from your invest or your co-ownership of the UST company, and that income is subject to personal income tax, you will only pay your personal income tax. You will not need to pay all the other, you would not have had to deal with the capital gains tax from the company paying tax on the profit that it made. So you will get as much of the profit that is due to you without severe taxation on it. Does that make sense? If you understand, put plus in the chat room, because that question that was asked was a bit technical, and I decided that, okay, let me try and unpack it, unbundle it, so that it will make sense to everyone and they would understand a little bit better. So you can see that the company has actually put you in mind and put you into serious consideration, even in the registration. I need you to understand that before they even began to go about looking for supporters for this project, they already had you in mind to register the company in a way that will be favorable for you as a co-owner. So when we talk about something like the target structure creates favorable condition for the co-owners, this is exactly what we are referring to. Please, if you understand, put plus in the chat room. All right, so I think that is that for that question. If there are any other questions, please, now is the time to ask. We have 8 minutes before we wrap up tonight. So if you have questions, raise your hand and ask. Meanwhile, while we do this, if you are a new member here, you are a new member, somebody invited you, you have not registered, you are yet to be a member of the Skyward community, let me see your plus. Just put a plus to indicate that you are a new member. I'm looking at the chat room right now. Let us acknowledge your presence, because you are special. You are one of the reasons we gather here is to enlighten new people about this opportunity. So if you are here, you are one of the special people and we want to celebrate you. So just put plus if you are here as a new member, a first timer. So any first timers in the house tonight? Okay, that means we are all of us project participants to an extent. Maybe we're already registered members of the community. All right then, ladies and gentlemen, it's been, okay, I see a hand is raised. Mr. Jonathan, kindly unmute your mic and ask your question.
Yeah, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yeah, thank you, our curator, for this wonderful presentation. Even though I joined late, I have benefited a lot. I have actually especially the last person that spoke and you now. I think I benefited so much. But the question I want to ask is about the dividends, because you said you'll be sending in a document or an article for people to go and read about the dividends. So now my question is, there are others people who don't have access to all these documents and they have invested in it and they want to have information about it. I was maybe like, maybe you will put it maybe in a short summary for them to like what they should expect, or approximately maybe in the next 2 months or 3 months or 4 months time, something like that, something may come up on that way, so that at least to give them a little understanding about what is coming. So I don't know if there's something about that.
Thank you for your question. So I'm just going to run through the article. You talked about not having access to the article. It's actually accessible if you just click on the link. The GTI website is public and the information on it is also public. So you do not need any special, maybe password to be able to access it. It is open source. You can just open it and then take your time to read it. That was why I mentioned earlier that we all should go back and read the document. But this is the document. I've just shared my screen. Now, in the first instance, they talked about their commitments to investors. What they say here is that they confirm their obligation to investors to pay dividends. At the time of publication of this declaration, which was July 2024, we, that's GTI, as before, consider the most appropriate option in which dividends will be paid from the profits of companies distributing UST transport and infrastructure complexes and licenses for UST String Technologies. Then they talk about the sources of profit. It's going to be a long read, but let me read what is most important. Here they talk about initial dividend payments. And they say at the first stages, the payment of dividends, in brackets, remuneration, will be carried out in the form that is most comfortable from the point of view of indirect cost for supporting cash transactions and does not involve GTI's entry into stock exchanges. What does this mean? It means that GTI may be paying you before they are even listed in the stock market. This payment of initial dividends does not depend on stock market listing. However, one of the most important things they will consider is the most comfortable form that will not have a lot of cost on transaction. So the channel that we have lowest transaction fee is what they will use for initial payment of dividends. That's what that means. Then they talk about a profitability threshold for dividends. Ladies and gentlemen listening, they did not give a date. They did not give a time. They did not give a month. So those of you asking when, this is the criteria that was stated. They said to start paying dividends, in bracket, remuneration to investors, the income of GTI and the portfolio of the UST group of companies must exceed the cost of financing operating activities by 40%. That is the condition. If this condition is met, the bulk of the profits will be reinvested in the development of the company's portfolio, and the other part, in brackets, at least 30%, will go to pay remuneration to investors, and the achievement of the required indicator is planned for 2025. Please, those of you who understand English very well, and those of you who understand legal terminologies, what do we understand by this? Because what I understand here is that they have stated a condition, and they have said if this condition is met, that this will be, if this condition is met, they are going to pay from the profits at least 30% to remunerate investors. That's the dividends we are expecting will be paid on the basis of meeting this condition. And then whatever is left, reinvestment of 70% goes back to the development of the company's portfolio, and then 30% to the payment of dividends to investors. Then they said they plan to achieve this in 2025. I do not see a month. Neither do I see a date. I see 2025. I see planned. And one other thing that's important to note is that they did not tell us the exact month or date, but they told us the exact condition that must be met. Now, if this condition is met, how will we know? We have access to, the company always publishes its audit reports. So when they publish this year's audit report, we are going to look through it and try and see if this condition has been met. Then we'll now begin to say, oh, the condition has been met. Thank God the plan for meeting this condition has been achieved, and we can begin to look forward that the 30% of the profit will be used to pay remuneration. In that same document, which is the audit report, we can now see what profit was made and then look at what 30% of that will be. and then begin to estimate, okay, this will be used for the payment of dividends to investors. On the basis of that, how much per unit of the portions that have been sold out will be going to the investors? How much will be the remuneration in units per portion, multiplied by the number of portions an investor holds in the project? And then if you have any questions, there is the SWC support channel, the technical support. You can always ask them for clarification on all of this information that you have access to. And all of this information, let me quickly say, is publicly available. So when people ask me the question, when will dividends be paid? I always wonder, is it that we do not read these documents, or we do not read them with the full understanding? Because it did not say when. It said a condition will be met, and the required indicator or the achievement of this condition is planned for 2025. So I don't know what to say to the people asking me when will dividends be paid. This is the only information that I have to share with you. And if it is not what you are expecting to read, I cannot make up something to make you feel excited. For example, I hear that in some time ago, people were erroneously telling people that dividends will be paid in 2021. I heard such information and I was shocked because there was no official document stating anywhere that such was the case. But people believed that information. And on the basis of that, there was a lot of disappointment, and people were disgruntled when 2021 came, and then they did not see dividends and they began to grumble. You know, you need to base this your expectation on the official information of the company. So, ladies and gentlemen, in a project like this, a pre-IPO project that is in development, the thing that is important to look at is how the company is developing. So the most important thing is the news about the development of the company. That's what we should be looking at, not the eagerness for dividends. Because let me tell you something. Imagine you are in a long flight, maybe a 9-hour flight, and then somebody seated behind you begins to grumble 5 hours into the flight that the flight is too long. They want to come down. What type of flight is this? This pilot should stop. He wants to jump out of the plane. And his behavior is endangering the safety of all the passengers, including the safety of the plane. And this passenger just simply doesn't care. He wants to alight from the plane immediately. As a passenger in that plane, maybe you are sitting in front or behind such a passenger who is grumbling and is endangering the safety of the passengers in that plane as well as the safety of the flight. What would you do? If you would like to respond to that question, please raise your hand. If you understand my question, I say you are in a long flight and then you haven't arrived at your destination, and then someone is saying, why is the flight so long? I want to come down, and their action is endangering the safety of the flight. What will be your reaction to such a passenger if you were on that flight? Okay, Mr. Jonathan. I see a number of hands raised. Okay, Mr. Jonathan, you spoke earlier. Let me ask Mr. Joseph to speak, then I'll come back to you. Mr. Joseph, you have the floor.
All right. Good evening, my curator, and all members attending this our great evening Zoom meeting. My response to that question is that it requires intervention with a superior knowledge of what the situation is to enlighten the person and try whatever it is, additional information to calm him down and make him come down to the understanding of all others who have a knowledge of what is happening. Taking that into consideration, if we take that factor, apply it to what we have in our case in this GTI, you find out there's a question of those who do not take time to go through that GTI's declaration. Because GTI declaration was very clear from the beginning that one of the very points of knowing when the dividend is about or near is that the income must exceed their expenditure by 40%. That's one. Two, that the company must go into commercial projects, and all their projects are going to be subjected to the test and certification. All these requirements are virtually being met. But then again, we are driving towards somewhere which is going to the stock market. And we still have portions to acquire what is needed originally. So these factors are some of the things they are working on. And until it is concluded, it will not be wise to put a date. And that is why up till now, even when we see very clearly that most of these requirements have been met, audit reports has been declaring that yes, this company is already above the surface in its project plan because it's not owing. I think that one of the major factors of the audits we have been getting all this while up till now, that the company is afloat, is not indebted in any way. So it takes patience and understanding of all these factors that are available to know that we are near, but the company has to exercise the wisdom of putting everything in place conclusively before putting a time and date to it. And that should be able to calm the nerves of those who want to understand the situation. No matter what, if all these factors are put across to those and they read through them again, they will understand that we are so close by. Considering the number of years this project has been on, it's just a little patience more, and we'll get to where we are, especially for the factor that it has touched on the year, which is 2025. And so the little patience to drive us to where we are going is just where around the corner. That's my presentation. Thank you for the opportunity, my curator.
Thank you very much, Engineer Joseph. I want to quickly add to what you have just said. I believe that what we let's say you mentioned correct knowledge, sharing the knowledge to help the person calm down. For example, the person is not aware of the duration of the flight, and so they are beginning to become uneasy. You can let them know that, okay, this is a 9-hour flight and we have been on air for 5 hours. So in another 4 hours, we'll be descending down to the airport. Or maybe the flight is a flight that you take a break, maybe take a connecting flight. You know, you just let them know the progress and let them know their expectation realistically. And you see that already with the knowledge, they will just ease into it and understand that, okay, we are making progress. So I think that when we look at how well we have developed, what stage of development are we at today, we will know that we have been making steady progress, and that alone is enough to calm the nerves of any anxious investor or project supporter. So Mr. Jonathan, your hand is up. Kindly unmute your mic, but we are behind time by 8 minutes. So we are about to wrap up. So Mr. Jonathan, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. I think because of time, and I wouldn't have to say much because the first person have touched the area I wanted to say. I think if I am in that flight and I just also need to let the person in there to know the importance of the journey and the danger implications about of what he's trying to do. So, nevertheless, the whole thing there is patience is the key. And thank God that the Skyway have already mentioned that once they have made the target of the 40% and there's going to be, at least they'll respond to all the investors, and they also made mention of the year, which is 2025. And I think all of us will just have to be patient. And by the time, whenever it comes, we are in. So we just have to be patient, just the way, as from what the first speaker said, that we have to be patient. Patience is the key to everything. So we have come a long way, actually. So patience is the key. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jonathan. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for your participation in this tonight's meeting. And I want to ask that those who are able to should kindly open their camera. Okay, one hand is still up. Okay, Mr. Sunday, you'll be the last to comment before we close. Kindly unmute your mic. Please keep it very brief, very concise.
Yes, I'm not going to take much of our time again. Much has been said in the presentation. Thank God for Engineer Joseph Wanze for that insight. But I also want to quickly add, we all know that to increase the profitability of the company we all has input our fund, we also have to do some homework. Just like the concept of you have planted, you need to tend your plants. You need to weed out the weeds that may damage the growth of your crops. In this case, please, we still have some responsibility. On one side, let's try as much as possible to see how we can attract more investors, more like-minded individuals to the project. We have a presentation now. How many of us invited persons to this presentation, this webinar? And how many of the persons came? Beyond the issue of bringing people to this webinar, how many of us are doing the strategic homework of how projects that this technology can be used to solve this transport problem can be linked to the management of Unitsky String Technologies Incorporated? That is another side of the game, because we know that the profit we are talking about is going to come from commercial projects. So I want to encourage those who really need the dividend, who are, it's not like as if I don't need it, I need it. And what I'm telling you now, I've taken steps in that direction. We all should take steps in that direction too. Let's get across to who is who in our various sphere and see how we can pitch this technology before the decision maker so that they implement it. Now, take note, it doesn't have to do with Nigeria alone. If you have contact in other countries, as long as this technology can solve humanity problems, please connect them to the Unitsky String Technology Management. If you don't know what to do and how to connect them, get across to me. I will show you how to connect them. And let me also add, a profit in the light of the remuneration we are getting from our attraction of investors to the Skywalk community platform. Such kind of remuneration will also come to you. In fact, what will come to you will be, wow, it's far bigger than what we get in the area of our Skywalk community platform. Thank you very much, my curator.
You're welcome, sir. So, ladies and gentlemen, for those who can share your screen, who can turn on your camera, kindly do so. We're going to do what we do every time we want to end our presentation. We will say the Skyward community motto. We are beyond those who just support the project because we want to cash out at the end of the day. We are those who create the future and finance it. So when I say Skyward community, you respond creating and financing the future. So are we ready? Put plus in the chat box if you are ready. If you can turn on your camera, this is the time to do so. Then you can also put the reaction with the effect, with the part effect, just like I am doing right now. If your camera is on, you'll be able to turn on your effect or, react with an effect. So once we are ready, put plus in the chat room. Let me do the last part of tonight's presentation before we wrap up. So let's go in the count of 3, 2, 1. Skywalk community, creating and
Creating
financing
and
the
financing the
future.
future.
Okay, sorry, forgive me. My bad. I did not allow everyone to unmute their microphones. Let me quickly give everyone the microphone access so that we will have a more robust response. Sorry, I just forgot that I had already done moderated the chat room to. One moment, I'm trying to find the option for participants to unmute their mic. Okay, I see it. So you should see in your,
Yeah.
yes, exactly. You should be able to unmute your mic now.
Done.
Okay. I see some persons are still muted. Please kindly unmute your mic. Even if you cannot turn on your camera, you can at least unmute your mic.
He's so fun.
Awesome.
Very fun.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, let's do this in 3, 2, 1. Skyward community, creating
And
and
financing
financing
the
the
future.
future. Skyward community,
Creating
creating
and
and
financing
financing
the
the future. Skyward community,
Creating and
and
financing the
financing the future.
future.
Thank you so much. I see we have some beautiful future leaders in our midst. I want to say a big shout out to Mr. Elvis's beautiful children. I see them in the chat room. Thank you for sharing this love with us. And thank you for your beautiful family.
Thank
So
you.
everyone,
Thank you.
good night, and until our next meeting, stay blessed, stay healthy,
Night
and
all.
stay
Good night to
peaceful.
everybody.
Good night.